Bright Duty. Every student matters.
Hello students. Now let's talk about the Congress session at Lahore. Now students, before this we were talking about the non-cooperation movement and the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement. Now if I ask you, what was that incident that led to the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement? Can you answer that question? Yes, you have to think in your mind. So, it was the Chauri Chaura incident. Right, students? So, here we see that at this Chauri Chaura incident, when the whole movement, it took a violent turn, and in this incident, we see that 22 policemen, they were killed because the angry demonstrators, they decided to fire the whole police station, put fire on the whole police station. Okay? So here we see that afterwards Gandhi he also went to jail in 1924. He was released, and now different things were happening in our country. The Congress leaders, they were now proposing this whole idea or focusing on this idea of Hindu-Muslim unity, right? The government was taking stringent measures against the movement, right? Against the whole idea that no such movement should again erupt in the country, right? So very strict measures were taken towards the Indian leaders, okay? But here we see that the Congress session at Lahore. Why are we talking about this Congress session? What was so special about this Congress session? Here students, this was a historic moment actually in the history of India's struggle for freedom. Why? Let us try to understand that. So at Lahore, right? Now it is in Pakistan, but when India was not divided, it was in Lahore that the whole Congress session took place in the year 1929. Okay? Now it was at Lahore under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru. So who was the president here in this session? Who presided over the session? It was Jawaharlal Nehru, right? He was the first Prime Minister of our country. Everyone must be aware about that, correct? So as you can see in the image, Jawaharlal Nehru, he is giving his speech addressing the leaders here, audience here in this National Congress. Here, Congress session at Lahore is important. This is the point. Congress passed a resolution for Poon Swaraj as its goal. Okay students, I am highlighting this point here. Poon Swaraj, very important point here. Till now, you were learning about the idea of Swaraj, right? Self-rule, self-government or home rule, right? But here when we are talking about Poon Swaraj as the new goal, it means that they were talking about complete independence, complete freedom from the foreign rule from the British government. Now this was a resolution passed in this Congress session and it was taken very seriously. From now on, all the activities that were done by the Indian national leaders, it was only for this aim, for Poon Swaraj or complete independence. Okay? Now 26 January was to be observed as Independence Day. You might get confused with the fact that we celebrate our Independence Day on 15th August. But the Indian leaders, they decided that 26 January should be the day that should be observed as Independence Day, that they are getting complete independence from the British rule. But since we got independent on 15th August, so we celebrate that day as Independence Day. But 26 January, everyone is aware that we celebrate it as Republic Day in our country today every year. Yes, students. So this is the importance of 26 January. The day that was to be observed as Independence Day was now decided that after independence, this would be our Republic Day. Okay? They also decided to launch the civil disobedience movement. Now it was during this period, students, that the Indian leaders, they also decided to launch a new movement. Now why was all this happening here? After 1924 and before that as well, people knew the exploitative nature of the British government. right? How they were trying to exploit the Indians, how they were trying to show themselves as superiors and Indians as inferiors, that was very much visible in economic condition, administrative part and so on, right students? So therefore, the whole idea for Swaraj to Poon Swaraj was also adopted, keeping that in mind, as well as to challenge or to oppose the British government to attain the goal of complete independence. Civil disobedience as a mass movement was to be launched, that had been decided here itself at the Congress session that took place at Lahore. This is why this is a historic moment in our India's struggle for independence, students. Okay.